It's the calm before the storm. The submarine silently running before the depth charge barrage. The love song before the fat lady puts on her horn helmet and starts to sing. With the double distance, double point season finale one race away, today players position their pieces on the board in preparation for the endgame. From Donington Park, it's the penultimate round of the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour Season 16 Championship. And all the action from green flag to victory donuts streams your way live as it happens right here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hello from Old Blighty and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Johan Vanderbilt joins yours truly, Bill Soups on, to bring you our Bird's Eye View. Sean Ambrose has director duties armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. All right, after a week of turmoil, the seas have calmed and the series atmosphere has been eerily still. Branch saw Sonny Cantion pick up his fourth win of the season, giving the three-time champ a little breathing room to his nearest rival, Robert Hartley, in the points race. This round, the tour stays in the UK. Johan, tell us a little bit about today's racetrack.
Last week, my colleague Stefan called Brands Hatch an old-school British racetrack. Well, today we continue the UK tour at the heart of British motorsport. Donington Park is located in Leicestershire, England, and has been the backdrop of motor races since 1931. Even though most people think of Silverstone when you talk about racing in the UK, Donington is actually the second purpose-built racetrack on the island after Brooklands. It comes from the mind of an old Isle of Man TT racer who originally designed the track for motorcycle races. And after a decade, the asphalt was widened to allow for cars as well. Now, after World War II, the circuit fell in disrepair, but it was reopened in the 70s. And even though the current 4.0 kilometer track we race on today is quite different than the original layout, it still provides great touring car racing. Some might even say that the heart is still beating. So to experience this piece of cardiology firsthand, let's hop on board our GSRC Collet MX-5 for a lap around Donington.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yama to the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Donington. Heading down the front stretch towards Redgate, you'll want to drift the car off to the left, but be careful because cars exiting the pits are dumped right into the racing line, and it is possible to get tangled up with them. You want a late apex this first corner, which will be a very popular place for guys trying to overtake. After that, hug the right side of the track as it swings down into the crater curves. That's because ideally you want to get the widest entry into the left-hander for the best line into the old hairpin. This is a corner that sometimes invites passes, but it tends to be very tricky to execute. Expect a lot of dirt to be dragged on course from cars drifting wide around here. As we go under Starkey's Bridge, we climb back uphill, and once again, swinging the car wide will help you line up the following corner. McLean's has a frustrating crest, and the turn gets tighter on exit. It's very tough to nail the apex. From there, it's a short burst to Coppice, which you'll see drivers think about making a pass into, but very few actually execute it. The totally blind apex makes this another turn that's difficult to be consistent with, and the long, wide-open exit means you'll be flat to the floor for quite a while, so the ability to get on the power early will be valuable. Now we're on Starkey Straight, which has these fun little dips in the track, leading straight into the braking for the S's. Anyone trying to pass here increases the risk of a cut course penalty, so it might be wiser to wait for the next couple of hairpins. That doesn't mean drivers won't still force two wide situations into that chicane. Now come the slow and annoying hairpins. First up is Melbourne, which is a pretty straightforward case of squaring off the exit and getting a decent launch. Drivers running a single monitor will have a pretty hard time getting the apex right though. Then, you'll switch sides and look for the curbs to start lining up Goddards. There's an awkward rise at the entry to the corner, making it tough to get the car to turn in. Once you feel safe putting the power down, get on the gas, straighten the car out, and hope that you accelerated early enough to protect yourself from a pass. But as we cross the line, we've now finished a lap around Donington.
There's a lap around Donington, which is sewn on appendage and all. Okay, now, GSRC was not provided with the current point standings, so sadly, once again this season, we cannot show you the championship battle. Now, the last time this happened, GSRC graphic department helped out by using emojis in lieu of points. This time, here's what we done. Johan and I, we rehearsed a Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody parody in which we were going to harmonize you through our best guest of the point race, but for copyright infringement reasons, sadly, we're not able to be performing that for you today. Look for it on the director's cut of the DVD. However, what we can do is maybe walk the dog a little bit and show you some of the drivers that are in the points race. Let's go ahead and talk about Sonny Kanchan. He's got 3 championships under his belt. He's looking to be the first 4-time champion. My dad used to tell me, son, there's 3 things that come with winning a championship. The bartenders are more generous, and your life is a little more glamorous, and females a little more amorous. So I don't know what happens when you win 4, but Sonny's well on his way to finding out. Now, the guy who was going to give him a run for his money is Robert Hartley. Sadly, Robert's not here today. We think the driver sitting in 3rd is the Italian driver, and that would be Marcello Pajan. Take a look at him. We're right on board with Sonny. There's Marcello. He sits in 3rd. He's having a really good season. Another driver that I'd like to talk about is Gene Fittis out there racing in. Is Gene here today? Yeah, I thought he's around. There we go. We're looking at Gene. He's sitting well. The New Zealand driver doing well. And then finally, can we take a look at the guy who's had a really good practice time, and that was Travis Swenke. Swenke put in the top qualifying time of 1:44.6. Those are the guys I think you want to keep an eye on. But the main excitement has been in the amateur class. Johan's going to tell you a little bit about those guys.
And the cool thing about the amateur championship is that every race it's almost completely mixed, with the quick guys sometimes being a little bit slower and vice versa. So the leader in the amateur championship is Kip Stevens. We see him on track at this moment. Basically has been there all season long, just a very, very fast driver. But look at the practice times of today. He was only 6th in the amateur class, so not really the position where you would find him. His main rival is Jordi Fike. Now, Jordi has actually been having a great practice so far earlier today. He actually put his car in the top 3, so you can already see that the drivers that are a little bit further down in the championship are actually doing very well so far. Stefan Veenhoff is the driver from the Netherlands who's currently 3rd in the championship. He's unfortunately not here. P4, however, is here. Derek Holland. He's currently sitting 1 position behind Johnny Fike. He was P4 in the practice earlier today. But the main driver here at Donington from the top 5 is Erik Koeman. The Dutch driver has put in the 2nd practice time out there, behind one of the new drivers here in the field, Bill. That's Peter van Gol.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on Peter, see what he can do. You know, before we talk about the race details, let's drill down a little bit more on this amateur championship. The excitement has really been there throughout the season. Johan, the drivers up front seem to behave and kind of save it all to the very last lap. That's not the case for the AM guys. They seem to race the entire event.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with the behave part, but I would completely agree with that the amateur drivers are the drivers that are just battling all race long. It doesn't matter for them. It's the last lap of the race or the first lap. They're just going at it, trying to get that track position, no matter which lap of the race it is. It just creates so much excitement. And man, this is the penultimate race of the season, but I hope that attitude just perseveres and we'll see it once again here in the UK.
Well, let's take this opportunity to talk about what's going on this season. Let's look at the series details.
Yeah, now as everyone knows, this is season 16. Then WT round 10 of 11, the penultimate round, so the double point route is the next race. 2 races shorter than last season, only 11 rounds, and there are no dropped races this season. You can see there are 3 no-show compensations. That basically means that if a driver misses a race, he or she is compensated with a percentage of the driver's average race finish. So it's not completely a drop week, it's not as good, but it's certainly a lot better than getting 0 points if you miss a race. The race distance today here at Donington is 26 laps. 26 laps, the drivers have to complete this 4-kilometer circuit, and in that time they have to make 1 pit stop. All the drivers have an open setup, that means they can tweak their MX-5s just to their liking. And the incident cap, well, there is not one here, but there are points up for grabs at the end of the season if you don't have a lot of incident points. And that's one of the things here, Bill, because whenever I race on this track, I'm like a lot of tracks in the MX-5, but this track is one of the tracks where the amount of incidents that I receive is so incredibly high. I'm really curious how it will be for the drivers out there today, because keeping it clean here and not hitting the grass and getting those 1Xs is quite difficult.
Absolutely. All right, we've got through all the business qualifying going on right now. No surprise to see the three-time champion Sonny Kenshin up front. His teammate Travis Wenke right behind him. In fact, all the drivers up front, the Asbury Motorsports guys sitting up there with top three, with Marcel Lepajon sitting there as well.
Yeah, the Asbury guys are doing very good so far in qualifying. But it is Travis Wenke who's currently sitting on professional pole position, and he's just really showing to have that pace that he had in practice. There wasn't a fluke or a draft lap or anything. He also has that pace in qualifying. It's good to see because Travis Wenke actually is 2.5 tenths quicker than Sonny Kenshin at the moment. Well, that's not something that you say very often, that someone is 2.5 tenths quicker than Sonny Kenshin. So great time for Travis so far.
We're looking at the Italian driver, Marcelo Pajan, sitting third right now, behind his two teammates of Kenshin and Swenke. And there's Marcelo's. He puts in a 1:44.6. He remains in third position. Let's look at the guys having a great season. Car number 890, Gene Fittis, the New Zealand driver. He's yet to put in a qualifying time. Down into the Melbourne hairpin right now.
Yeah, you called it the appendix earlier. It's really something that just hangs on the rest of the circuit if you look at the layout. It's also one of the most difficult parts of the circuit. I'm always struggling so much with this double hairpin. First right, first left. It's really difficult to position your car well, to find a good braking point as well in the MX-5. But Gene circumvents them. He comes across the line, sets a 1:45.2. That's currently only enough for P6 overall, and that's unfortunately for Gene last place in the pro category.
Let's go ahead and look at the AM leader here as we look at Kip Stevens.
Yeah, Kip Stevens has been picking up the pace a little bit in qualifying. We mentioned before when we were talking about the point standings in the amateur category, that Kip was only 6th in practice. In qualifying, however, he's 5th overall, so winning one position, but still not really where you expect him. But to be honest, Bill, this is something that we have seen a few times before, that Kip was just a little bit slower in qualifying, but when the green flag drops and the race starts, that's really the point that he finds the race pace and just finds his way forward.
One of the few drivers still out there racing. There is an interesting battle here for the guys at the back of the pack. Joe McDonald, Trip Smith, and Jeroen Ursum, 3 veterans of the series. We're going to watch them fight it out. They're equally paced. That's very competitive racing from them when they're out there. They won't be racing up front, but they put on a good show. With only 15 drivers here today, it gives us an opportunity to work through the majority of the field. There is Kip Stevens in his Swift Cooper machine. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather here, Johan, see how it looks.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good sky for the UK. Partly cloudy, 65 degrees Fahrenheit air temperature. To translate that to Celsius, that's 18 degrees, so it's a little bit nippy, but still a good day out there. 31 degrees Celsius track temperature, so I think that the cars will actually behave a little bit, but of course, with the update of iRacing, the clouds are moving, the sun might suddenly warm up the track we don't expect it. It's an extra thing that the drivers have to keep in mind in the race today.
With qualifying just about done, I want to thank our sponsors as we go to the Heusinkveld starting grid. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsors on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. And now let's go to that Heusinkveld starting grid. We have plenty of time. We'll take it a row at a time. Hey, Travis Swenke is going to be inside of Sonny Kenshin on the front row. Johan?
Marcelo Pajan is the first driver in the top 3, and he's being flanked by David Hampson in P4.
The Zon's Italian countryman Enzo Canta in the 5th spot, flanked by Gene Fittis.
Van Gogh is the driver who grabs pole position in the amateur category, and Jordi Fike beats Erik Koelman by 0.02 of a second for P8.
There we go, and then we go down into the 9th position. That will be, I have Koelman in 9th, with Robert Willinga in 10th spot, Jordi Fike and Peter Van Gool in the 7th and 8th spot. Go ahead, Johan.
Robert Wieliga is in P10 with Kip Stevens being the driver in P11.
Here we go. All right, and now finish out the last one. Derek Holland, Joe McDonald, Tris Spiss, and Jeroen Ursum in 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. You can hear the engines begin to harmonize now. It is the penultimate round, season 16. Boy, we've been around for a long time. Time to gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows, and I tell you, a horse that got a great jump out of the barn is Sonny Kenshin. The Australian driver moves to the front alongside of his teammate, trying to take the lead on the outside. Not going to happen. Swanky going to fend him off. Back in third position, Pashan. David Hampson looking on from fourth.
Still side by side in the background over P5 in amateur in the pro category. Gene Fittis is trying to overtake Enzo Kanta as they go forward, but it is Travis Swanky who is now single file in front of Sonny Kenshin.
Oh, the big pile up in the back. It involves Robert Belinga. This one was ugly as many cars were collected. Belinga got loose, Coleman got into him. We'll come back and take a look at that one a little bit later. Kip Stevens did a good job of avoiding the contact. Derek Holland also took evasive action into the grass. Meanwhile, up front is still Swanky out in front of Kenshin. But look at this. Marcelo Pajan giving a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, really bump drafting there towards the SS. No overtake that we see so far. David Hampson is behind him. Really as close to the apex as he probably wants as the rivals in front of him. But the 6 pro drivers are under a blanket. But I have to say, the amateur drivers are actually making an overtake because Enzo Kanta just got a slowdown penalty for cutting the chicane and getting a slowdown penalty on lap 1. That's really gonna hurt the Italian. He's gonna drop, I think, something like 10 seconds behind the rest of the field.
There are 9, let's see, about 7 drivers. Go back to Jordy Fike in 7th, trying to stick with the leader. Kanta and you'll see, watch them coming around right at the top of your screen now. That's that battle between Kanta, the Italian driver, and Kip Stevens, our AM leader in that fluorescent blue and white machine.
I have to say, Enzo Kanta got rid of the penalty tremendously. He knew that he immediately had to step on the brake. That's probably the best way to get rid of it lap 1. And I don't think he lost 10 seconds, but still, it's quite a big gap between him and Jordy Fike at the moment, the leader in the M category.
You're looking at Stevens right now, so we ride on board. 2 cars back from Stevens is Jeroen Ursum in his pink McDonald's machine. He was able to negotiate that first lap incident the best of all of his rivals and have pulled away from Triff Smith and Joe McDonald.
Yeah, he seems to have really profited from that, but looking at the moment, Robert Wieliga is sitting in the pits and it seems like he's kinda the only victim of the big wreck that we saw. All the other drivers are still able to continue on track, and the Dutch driver in the form of Wieliga is now sitting at his pit crew trying to get some repairs in.
Yeah, let me go ahead and just specify there, Jeroen Ursum clearly driving in that Heusinkveld car. My paints did not update. He was in his pink McDonald's car when I'm looking at it. Let's go up front. A little bit of a battle there for third positions. Pajan tries to hold off Hampson, who looks to the outside. They work their way through the Milburn hairpin. This little section here makes for some exciting race endings because you have a passing zone here, and then you have another passing zone here. And even here, Johan, if you get a good run, there's enough time that you can still beat the guy down to the start-finish line out of this final hairpin.
Absolutely, and it almost seems like David Hampson was already just practicing a little bit for the final lap of the race, because he had a great run for the S's and tried to put a move on Marcelo Pagnan in the Melbourne hairpin, and he didn't make it stick. I think that Marcelo Pagnan, by Sonny Kenshin, who helped him block the outside. But the story is that all the drivers are still in the same position. But man, I'm just really impressed with Peter van Gol at the moment, Bill. He's still in P6. He's not that far away, and he's really driving away from P2 in the M category, Jordy Fike.
Maybe we can take this opportunity to go back and replay the beginning of the race there with the incident that happened between Belinga and Koolman. Now we'll go back here. You'll see that Belinga's going to be on the outside and Koolman's going to get into him. We're going to go right to the start. And there you see them as they're waiting to get going. And you see them still waiting there, and that's what it's like. Well, they have 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake, the other foot on the clutch. Getting ready to roll. Now they take off. Not missing anything live when we look at this now. You'll see Valinga and Koeman get together. Koeman's going to be on the right-hand side. And as they touch, Valinga will come around, and then you'll see cars take evasive action. One of them is going to be Kip Stevens going to the grass. And it happens right here.
Yeah, Robert Wielinga just steered in there, probably thinking that Erik Koeman wouldn't be in the apex of the corner. But unfortunately, the two Dutch drivers taking each other out. And you mentioned Kip Stevens with great avoidance actions. Don't know if you saw the little purple car of Derek Holland as well, who really threaded the needle and avoided these drivers. He can still continue, unfortunately. It seems like Robert Wielinga as well is once again on the track. He is, however, one lap down compared to the rest of the field. So it really will be a recovery race for Wielinga, trying to profit from the mistakes of other drivers out there.
Now, we talked about these guys we're going to watch. Jeroen Ursum has pulled away from these because he was able to negotiate that incident better than these guys. But we look here at Trip Smith, Eric Koeman. You saw him get involved in that one, and then Joe McDonald. These guys gridded at the back of the pack, racing. We'll look off the back at Trip Smith in his Ferrari red machine.
Certainly looks good on the MX-5, and Trip Smith is just doing a very good job so far. He's staying in front of this rival, so it's of course very difficult to find a place to overtake, even in these low power cars. And he's just so far keeping Erik Koeman and John McDonald behind him. He makes a little mistake there on the exit of Koppis. Not enough to give Erik Koeman an opportunity. And yeah, Trip Smith is not really, he's probably holding up Erik Koeman a little bit. He stays in front of them for now.
Up front, they race in order. Again, it's those Asbury Motorsports drivers, Schwenke, Kanchan, and Pajan doing what they do, just kind of hold station. The guy who's really been putting on the show, David Hampson and Fittis. Fittis now able to get around Hampson, the New Zealand driver, up into fourth. And Johan, how about the newcomer? Peter Van Gool back there, trying to do the best he can to stick with those guys.
Yeah, and it's really impressive that Peter just stayed with him with the top 5 for 5 laps in the draft. Although now, as you can see, Peter is just losing a little bit the draft to the top 5, and I think that now it will be more and more difficult to really stay close to them. But in the same time, the gap between him and Enzo Kenta and Jordi Fike behind him is immense. So Peter really has done some good business for himself in the opening stages of this race, but just creating that gap, and now he has to consolidate it and stay calm and clean for the rest of the race.
Yeah, let's drop back one position to the battle for 7th, because this one's kind of interesting. This is Kenta, Fike, and Stevens.
And so Kenta got by Jordi Fike last time around in the SSIC. And so of course had to slow down earlier in the race. He really fell back trying to recover from now, and I think the Italian will have a hard afternoon ahead for him, or a hard evening, because the gap between him and the rest of his pro rivals is actually quite big. It's around 5 seconds at this moment. Ooh, as I see a car going through the grass there, that's David Hampson, who got the S's very wrong. He got very close to Gene Fittis. Had to take some avoidance actions there.
Hampson able to hang on to 5th position. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one, as there's not a lot of action going on the track like that. Give us another look. They call these the S's. They're really a chicane. It's kind of like calling Greenland. I mean, it's not fooling anybody. That really does look like a chicane. There, I guess it could be the S's. Look at Hampson out in the sand.
When David was done playing in the sand, he could see that he lost quite a bit of time together with Gene Fittis to the top 3 drivers. We're getting very close there. Travis Schwenke was put under pressure with Sonny Kenshin. Marcelo Pagna was completely caught up there on the exit of turn 1. Look at that, Travis Schwenke actually driving away a little bit now.
Yeah, Kanchan took a peek in there. It didn't work. He lost a lot of momentum, fell back into the clutches of the Italian driver, Marcelo Pajan. Now remember, Schwenke was your pole sitter, so there's a chance if he can get far enough out there, he might be able to pace himself away from Kanchan.
Yeah, or maybe even try a different strategy. Something like the undercut is actually something that Travis can just try, make an early pit stop, make sure that you drive in clean air after that, and then when Sonny and Marcelo come in, you are quite a bit in front of them.
You can see the Jordy Fikes go in the wrong direction as he has lost another position to Kip Stevens. He's down to 9th. Stevens working his way up 2 spots so far. I think we got that pass. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Stevens in the blue car. We're on board. He's going to go make a move on the inside. Jordy honestly didn't put up that big of a fight.
Yeah, immense speed difference there between Kip Stevens and Jordy Fike. Well, Kip Stevens got past him. And this is really something that we were saying in qualifying. Very close there, by the way, between Jordy and Kip Stevens in the exit of the Melbourne hairpin. Kip Stevens is really good on race pace, getting to P2. Well, earlier we were saying that he was only P6 in practice. Let's see if he actually can manage to close down the gap to Peter van Gool now.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. And actually, the Fike and has lost contact. Fike and Stevens back there. Look who's come in. Derek Holland now has joined the mix as Kanta begins to drive away, although Kanta just put it off in the grass and lost a little bit of time.
And Derek Holland, last time around, he was an immense 2 seconds quicker than Jordy Fike. But that battle with Kip Stevens really lost him a lot of time. See the smoke bellowing out from those right wheel tires there when we approach to the old hairpin. Good drive so far from Derek Holland. He was one of the drivers that missed that wreck in lap 1 and has really profited from that, finding his way forward and is now eyeing a podium position in the amateur category.
Let's go back up front because the story has changed a little bit. Those Asbury Motorsports drivers, Swenke, Kanchan, and Pajan, have distanced themselves now. They pulled away. They got 2-second lead on the next set of 3. Fittis, Hampson, and Van Gool.
And that's actually impressive for Peter van Gool. We saw him a few laps ago that he had lost connection with the top 5. And since Gene Fittis and David Hampson made a mistake, they lost connection with the top 3. He has connected with them again, and they're really the second group now in this race.
The guy who's trying to run him down is Enzo Kanta in 7th. He's all by himself. He has left Fike and Stevens behind. We'll see if the Italian can get up there.
Looking at his lap times at the moment, he is quick. Gene Fittis, David Hampson were only doing 46s last few times around. They actually picked up the pace in the middle of the sentence with 45 low last time around. And so Kanta, with his little mistake that we saw, only did a 45.6. So with a little mistake, Enzo Kanta is a bit slower. But before that, he was winning half a second per lap.
Let's go to 13th real quick. This is the best battle on the track. Eric Koolman just got around Trip Smith. And now here comes Joe McDonald making a move. He's going to have to do it on the outside. Not sure if that's going to work. Smith in the fluorescent red machine on the inside. He's going to hold off that position as these guys continue to fight for 12th position.
Oh, that's a shame for Joe McDonald because he really had more speed there, almost making that move in Trip Smith with a horrible last corner through Goddess. He lost a lot of speed, missed the apex a little bit. You can see Eric Koolman at least winning a few car lengths already, trying to drive away from the duo behind him.
A little 3-car battles going on all the way through the fields. We ride on Joe McDonald's. Looking ahead, boy, he is right on Smith right now. He's going to wait. Good fighting going on back here for 12th. Koolman leading this group. They've got about 9, almost 10 seconds to get up to Jeroen Ursum in 11th, who's racing all by himself. Jeroen's safe, but these guys having fun back here, fighting in the back part of the race. Here comes Joe. See if he forces the issue here. No, they're going to have to wait.
Yeah, Trip just a little bit better under braking. Able to brake a little bit later, and then it doesn't matter if you're the outside line. You can just stay in front of your rival that way. Funny enough, Erik Koeman isn't really able to get a gap yet to his rivals. Let's see if that continues if we go further. One thing that I saw, by the way, Peter van Gol, the amateur leader, has won a position on David Hampson. David Hampson just fallen down the order a little bit, currently driving around in P6. Now in the meantime, it has meant that Gene Fides has created a little gap to this fighting pair at the moment as well. Ooh, David Hampson trying there, a little look on the inside of McLean's. Not able to make the move stick, but he's being held up behind Peter, I think, Bill.
Yeah, I think
trying to find the entry way.
And we're looking there. We're not sure why we can't. I don't know why we can't see his name. Our director wants me to explain it. Okay. Oh, Van Gogh is blank because you know what? He's a newcomer. We didn't have time to program him into our program here, so that's why you don't get to see him. We'll have him for the season finale.
Sorry, there's a move going on for the lead at the moment. Travis Swanky is side by side with Sonny Kenshin through the last few seconds. Sonny Kenshin actually was leading a little bit there as they went through Melbourne Hairpin. But this time around it is Travis Swanky once again who is leading this race. He just cannot get rid of the two cars behind him, even though he has been very quick in practice and in qualifying.
Look at that battle continue there. Right on with the driver in third. Again, these guys racing in the same order that they qualified in, the same order they've been in the whole time, although it hasn't been for lack of trying. Sonny took a stab once.
Yeah, Marcelo is really waiting in the popcorn position. If you are quiet, you can hear him chewing, I think, because he's not trying to make a move on Sonny Kenshin. He's really content with just staying behind there. Let these two drivers in front of him battle it out. Just maybe wait till after the pit stops are over to really make the move.
I'll tell you who's coming is Gene Fides, who's left Hampson and Van Gogh behind it and is really charging now. He's only back by about 0.2 of a second.
He won a second last lap around. Like, he's really quick at this moment, but it also might be a little bit because of the battle that we saw between Travis Swanky and Sonny Kenshin, that they lost a little bit of time. That allowed Gene Fides to edge closer, but it means that if the top three continues battling like this, Gene Fides will be in the draft again. And looking at this breaking point here in the hairpin, it almost seems like the New Zealander is almost in the draft zone again of the top three.
And let's stay on Fides a while, see as he runs it down. He's got it down to 1.7 seconds now. Now they work through Goddard's, the final hairpin, completing lap number 10, working lap number 11 of this 17-lap event. You know, I'm sure Travis Swanky enjoys leading, but he's using the most fuel, if that means anything.
In these cars, it always means something if you use the most fuel, because refueling is so slow. Last time around, Gene Fides did a 45.2, Travis Swanky did a 45.3, so only 1/10 that time around, but every little bit helps. You can see there on the exit of Old Hairpin. I actually noticed that last time around as well, with the top three just all going wide. You can see maybe a little bit of the dust cropping up when they go through the exit there. All those drivers basically get one off track every time they go through that corner. And that will not help them at all in the MPI chart at the end of the season.
Fides just missed the apex of that final corner as he drops a couple tenths of a second. Swanky going wide out of that corner is going to lose some time down the straight. One more time down into this left-right chicane as they head toward the Melbourne hairpin. Here comes Kenshin. He's going to take a peek. Is he going to force the issue? Maybe.
Well, he's not really giving it up easily. He's putting it side by side. He's keeping it side by side with Travis there. He doesn't have the exit speed there on the inside of the hairpin to make the move stick. Stay side by side, stay side by side. They have to go single foul again. So that's really crisis averted for Travis Swanky. But it seems almost like, Bill, that Sonny Kenshin wants to get by. He wants to be in front of his rival because the pit stops are coming.
That cost them 0.2 of a second, as Gene Fittis now has it down to 1.5. He's trying to get there. As that battle goes on, let's update you a little farther back. How about 8th position? Jordy Fike is now ahead of Derek Holland and Kip Stephen, who's racing in 10th.
Yeah, a few laps ago, Kip Stevens had, I think, a very slow last corner, lost quite a bit of time there. He had to give up 2 positions to Derek Holland and Jordy Fike, who are now in the podium positions for the amateur category. This is a really good battle, very tight, with arguably the quickest driver of the 3 in P4 at the moment. I still expect some sparks to be fly here in that battle for P2.
The 3-car battle of Coleman, Smith, and McDonald is now a 2-car battle, as Joe McDonald is one of the first cars to take a stop. No, it wasn't McDonald. Who was that who came in?
No, it is McDonald.
Oh, it was McDonald. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And apart from Robert Wieninga, who had to come in with some problems, that's the first driver that we see visit his pit crew for some fuel. Is coming out, and let's see actually where he comes out. Quite a bit ahead of Travis Swanky and Sonny Kenshin, so I don't think that Joe McDonald will play a part in that battle for the overall lead.
The action is up front right now. Swanky, Kenshin, and Pajan all a car length apart, and they are losing time to Gene Fittis, who's now got it down. Well, you can see the interval right there. 1.2.
And Gene Fittis is loving this. He's thinking, guys, don't make a pit stop, keep battling like this, because choo-choo, I am coming. And he's quite quick now. He's also consistent, Gene Fittis, just putting in 45.2, 45.3, 45.1 in a row. That's a really good lap times from the New Zealander. So you go on board with the hard-working driver at the moment, as he's just eyeing that top 3 in the distance, seeing the specs getting closer and closer. Yeah, he's consistent, he's quick at the moment, and with that top 3 battling, that will just be a matter of time before it's a 4-car battle for the lead.
He's got about 4 seconds back to David Hampson.
Oh, sorry, Enzo Kenta almost losing it there in the old hairpin. Oh, he kind of lost it there. That was a beautiful drift. Not really the quickest way to get that corner, but points for style. He completely lost it there by breaking half on the grass with the left-hand tires of his car.
Take a look at this one. Kanta racing in 7th. Go on board. You can see his hands work here. Woohoo! Look at that. Look at that walk. Wow. That was fun to see.
Sonny Kenshin trying it another time on top of in front of the field on Travis Swanky, but he didn't make it stick in the Melbourne hairpin. That's really the point every lap, Bill, that Sonny Kenshin just seems quicker than Travis. Every time in Melbourne hairpin, he seems to have a lot more speed. So it seems like, especially in the S's, the corner that you set yourself up for the hairpin that she came before, that's where Sonny Kenshin makes the difference, because every time in Melbourne hairpin he can just try and take a look. He cannot make a stick yet, but he's really trying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Sonny realizes that he's faster too, and he realizes this has now become a 4-car battle, as Fittis is finally now, I think, in the tow. Kanta makes a stop. Fike also making a stop as the window has opened up.
And so Kanta probably want to calm his tires a little bit after that huge slide that he had. Jordy Fike just popping out of that battle that he was having with Derek Holland and Kip Stevens. That's really something we have to keep an eye on. Because where does Jordy Fike end up after those other 2 drivers have made the pit stops as well?
You can see the cars going up on the left side, taking left side tires. They can take 2 tires on the left, and it won't cost them any time because they can get that done while they're filling up fuel. If they take 4 tires, they have to wait. Let's go to the lead. Here is Kanta. Here is Kenshin again, looking on him. Cannot get it done. Would not be surprised if this time around we see pit stops for maybe all 4 of them.
Basically what we saw last time around as well. Sonny Kenshin just having a little look on the inside of Melbourne Harpin. Not quick enough to try and move there and actually losing a little bit of time holding up Marcelo Pagnan. Gene Fiddis is 100% in this battle for the lead now. He's actually taking a wider line through God. It's the last hairpin of the track. Let's see who comes in. It is Travis Swanky and Gene Fiddis as well. So P1 and P4 coming in for that pit stop.
Probably the best thing that can happen right there to Sonny Kenshin, who was faster. Now he can go out there and run a hot lap. The tank is light. The car will be fast.
Yeah, now it will be really evident to see if Sonny Kenshin was quick because he just has more speed than Travis at this point of the race, or was he quick because of the draft and that was helping him to achieve a quicker lap time and stay up with them. That's something we see. We see that Gene Fiddis is underway again. Travis Swanky is also underway again. Both drivers basically head to toe at the moment, so they are still fighting with each other. In the pits as well, Derek Holland and Peter van Gol, the amateur leader, are sitting there as well. Erik Koeman and Trip Smith also coming in the pits. Trip Smith almost hitting the barrier there coming into the pits. A little bit too hot. Seems like he can continue. Luckily for him it was on pit entrance, so he can immediately check the mechanics if his car is damaged.
Johan Schwenke will have fresh left side tires. Will that help him on his out lap, or does it take time for those tires to warm up?
Usually I like having those cold tires in this car. I always am a little bit quicker on my out lap compared to the other laps of the race, so I think that this will help a little bit. But of course when he comes around and Sonny Kenshin has been in the pits, it's the same, but then vice versa. So if it's an advantage now, Sonny Kenshin will have it when he comes out for his pit stop as well.
Marcelo Pagnan almost got into the back of Kenshin there. Had to take it off into the grass. We're going to get the replay in quickly here because I think it's going to be pit stop time for these guys, so we'll want to get this in. Let's see if Sonny comes in this time. No, he doesn't, so we can go ahead and get this one in. Look at this as Marcelo really takes evasive action. We're going to ride on board. This is going to be the best view in the house. Whoa!
The Italian really didn't expect that. He immediately came into the pits to, well, maybe wipe away some of the sweat here, some of the...
Or something.
Yeah, let's see where he is now. He is up on the jacks at the moment. Travis Swanky and Gene Fiddis are coming around the last hairpin. Marcelo Pagnan is still stationary and now he gets going. But over start finish line, it is Gene Fiddis roaring with Travis Swanky just in front, and they both get by the Italian now.
Later.
Oh, that's quite a gap as well, Bill. Look at that. It's almost a second separating Marcelo Pagnan and Gene Fiddis. So if Travis Swanky really has the speed, I think that Marcelo Pagnan might be dropped from the lead battle here.
They say, see you later, boy, like he's a skater boy. Back in 6th position now, Pagnan. Kenshin still out there racing, running as fast as laps as he can. Also, the drivers who have stayed out, Hampson.
Two drivers coming in twice. Peter van Gol just coming in for a second pit stop. That's the leader that actually throws away the lead there by having to make a second pit stop. We saw Jordi Fike doing that as well, so I think that's P1 and P2 in the amateur category, just ruining the pit stop strategy and having to come in twice.
Fiddis is, would really like to get this pass made on Schwenke. Boy, Schwenke has been hounded by, no matter who's behind him, they have really been pressuring him. Whether it's Kenshin or Fiddis, they're working hard. Speaking of Kenshin, going around one more time.
That's the advantage of being not the first car in the group here in the MX-5. You can save a little bit of fuel, and Sonny Kenshin is really stretching that first stint longer and longer.
Hampson is in. He should easily be gobbled up by Schwenke and Fiddis, as well as Pagnan. There goes Schwenke and Fiddis going by. You can see Pagnan back there. Enzo Canton would be the next car that Hampson would try to get out in front of, and he's going to do that easily. Hampson rolling. And honestly, closer to Pagnan than I would have thought. Only back by 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, I have to say that that gap is quite close between Hampson and Marcelo Pagnan, but look at Marcelo Pagnan. He has lost quite a bit of time to Gene Fiddis and Travis Swanky in front of him. The outlap of Gene Fitters was a 2:10. Comparing that to the outlap of Marcelo Pagnan, that was only a 2:12. So the Italian losing 2 seconds coming out of the pits. It's really hurting me because the gap between him and the leaders now is incredible.
And as much as these guys are having fun, Schwenke and Fittis, these guys have to be careful not to fight too much and lose ground to Kanchan. Their job right now is not to lead each other, but just to be fast. Kanchan now, it's got to be pit stop time this time as he's working lap 17. Let's see if he comes in this time. Yes. And he does.
Yeah, so that's Sonny Kanchan. Will just give a quick update while his car gets stationary. He actually wasn't quicker than Travis Schwenke when he stayed out longer. He was doing a 45.1 last time around. Travis Schwenke is actually fighting with Gene Fitters now as we see Sonny Kanchan getting stationary just side by side.
Fitters gets him.
Now getting a professional lead. And this is actually honey in the ears of Sonny Kanchan because they were following each other quite calmly. Oh, Sonny Kanchan gets rolling and that battle is actually costing them a little bit of time. Sonny Kanchan is quite handily in front of them.
Kanchan out well in front by 2.4 seconds.
And that's really...
There's a couple ways he can be faster. He either was running faster laps while they were separated, or he pitted faster, maybe took a little less fuel.
It is the last thing. He was 2 seconds quicker than Gene Fitters and Travis Schwenke in the pit stop, because I was trying to say that his lap times were the same as Travis Schwenke. But just staying shorter stationary in the pits, that really helped Sonny Kanchan. He's quite away in front of Gene Fitters and Travis Schwenke, who are completely swarming over each other. Look at Travis Schwenke there, looking left, right through Starkey's bridge, completely allowing Marcelo Pagnan to catch up to this battle. So it's P2, P3 and P4 on each other still, but once again it is Sonny Kanchan just driving away with a good pit stop strategy, staying out longer, staying stationary with his pit crew shorter. He's quite comfortably in P1 at the moment.
Well, he spent the first part of the race behind Schwenke the entire time. Maybe that was enough to save him all that fuel, or maybe he just is really good at calculating, or maybe he didn't put in enough. Here comes Schwenke, looking to the inside. I think he's got the momentum. I think he's going to get this spot back. And he does move him up into second. And I'm telling you, all this fighting that's going on between Schwenke and Fittis, not only has it brought Prejean back into the mix, but David Hampson is not that far back of these three drivers. Oh, here comes. Get some.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Marcelo Pagnan completely capitalized on the mistake of Gene Fitters. Gene went too hot into the last corner, almost took out Travis Schwenke, basically almost rear-ending the pole sitter of the race. Could just avoid him, but that lost him all momentum and the Italian could sit by for P3.
Schwenke in second, Prejean in third, Fittis in fourth, and trying to get into the party, trying to join the fun, David Hampson, now only 9/10 of a second back. All this going on behind Sonny Kanchan, who is running away.
Yeah, Marcelo Pagnan is trying to put some pressure on Travis Schwenke, but he cannot get by in the infield section. Gene Fitters tries to close the gap a little bit, but like you said, David Hampson has completely caught up. I had a look at Enzo Canta. He's currently driving a P6, but I think he's too far to join the battle. He's currently 13 seconds behind. It seems like the Italian has to hope for a miracle in front of him to really catch up with this podium battle.
All of the fighting in the back part of the track, the pit stops have broken those up for the most part. Trip Smith and Van Gool in a little bit of a battle. We'll give you a rundown of those a little bit later when we do our trip back marker shout out that will come up in a little while. For right now, though, let's focus our attention on this battle that we're watching. Couple things to watch is the fighting between Schwenke, Prejean, and Fittis, and then the interval from Schwenke to Kanchan, 3.6 seconds right now.
Marcelo Pagnan making a mistake there. He had a little wiggle on the exit of the final hairpin because he touched the grass, and then almost gave Gene Fitters an opportunity to try and move in turn one. As you can see, they're on board with the new cylinder. He just couldn't make it stick there. It's very close. In the meantime, though, these drivers are doing a 45 flat last time around. Sonny Kenshin doing exactly the same time. So Sonny's not driving away, but he's also not getting closer. These drivers really have to start working together with only 7 more laps to go to have a shot for the victory.
Assuming that Sonny has enough fuel to get to the end.
Absolutely. Just a quick update. Peter van Gool just got by Trip Smith. That's the battle for P12 in the back of the grid. Peter van Gool, the leader in the amateur category, has completely fallen down the order because he had to make 2 pit stops. Same happening with Jordi Fike, who's currently P4 in the amateur category after being P2 before the pit stops. Here we see Peter van Gool driving around. Currently P12 overall, P6 in the amateur category.
Well, why don't we try to do this? Why don't we pay some bills and do the trip back marker shout out now? And Johan, I may interrupt you if things heat up front, but why don't we go ahead and go through some guys who are racing in the back?
Well, let's give some love first to Robert Wielinga, the driver in P15. He's the only driver 1 lap down at the moment. And after that big clash in lap 1, he's still turning his laps there, but like I said, unfortunately 1 lap down. Joe McDonald is just in front of him. Also, 1 position in front of him. He's driving around in P14. A little bit alone now. Trip Smith is just in front of him as well. He just got overtaken by Peter van Gool. Trip is driving around in P13. The trip backmarker shout out. Peter van Gool, like I said, P12 in front of him. Falling down the wayside, but trying to close the gap towards Erik Koeman. Going through the S's at the moment. He's driving in P11. The driver that was involved in that big turn lap 1 wreck earlier in the race. Jordi Fike is in P10 overall. He is just outside of the podium, trying to stay in front of Erik Koeman. P9, Jeroen Oersum. What a great race he is having. He's currently on the run for podium position in this race, if he can stay in there. Derek Holland in P8 overall. He's just capitalizing on the mistakes of others. Having a good race, but once again, it is Kip Stevens. Kip Stevens is leading the amateur category, P7 overall on the final driver in the trip back marker shoutout.
There you have it, nicely done. Didn't miss a thing up front. It is still Schwenke, Pajan, Vitus, and trying to get there as hard as he can, David Hampson.
Is it me or is the elastic just being pulled apart a little bit here, Bill? Because it seems like all the drivers are just edging a few car legs between each other. Well, let's hope that elastic gets released very soon and all the drivers will bunch towards each other again for a good battle for the podium positions. But it seems like Travis Schwenke is a little bit quicker at the moment, able to drive a little bit away from Marcelo.
And that elastic string goes all the way up to the leader too, Kanchan, who's able to put in another 0.2 of a second. Last time we checked in was 3.6, right now 3.7, 3.8. Kanchan going across the finish line, completing lap number 21, working lap 22. 5 to go.
I see.
Without Robert Hartley being here today, another win for Kanchan is going to really help his chances. Remember, double points next time around. That means anything can happen. And there are no drop race insurance in the finals. All the points are locked in after this one. You race for real going into that grand finale.
Exactly. Well, one driver that had a bad repetition for the final race is Peter van Gool. He just became our first retirement of today, putting his car in the pits, saying goodbye to the race mechanics. After that double pit stop, he has now finished the race and he will be classified to P15.
Even though he's going to finish last, pretty good debut race for him though. He was competitive early on, had a little bit of mistakes that cost him. Let's go back to the battle for second. Schwenke, Pajan, Fettis.
And I have to say, it's really Pajan and Fit is profiting from the speed that Travis Schwenke has shown basically in practice, in quali and in the race, because all 3 drivers can do a 45 flat last time around. David Hampson, he has a setup for 45 free. He just cannot close it if this top 3 isn't fighting hard with each other. We see him move though. Little look on the inside from Marcelo Pajan, but he thinks the better of it. Going through Morben Hairpin. Oh, very loose there on the exit. Almost doing an Enzo Kenta there. Giving Gene Fittis an opportunity to put his car on the outside. He has to brake on the curbstones, brakes a little bit later, keeps it side by side, but that's a very long 180-degree corner. Tries the undercut, cannot make it stick.
Johan talked about that elastic, and I think it went boing as they are all back together now. And that's exactly what Hampson needs, is these guys to fight it out a little bit. So many passing zones here. I love this configuration, especially for me. It seems like a perfect fit for these underpowered cars. It just feels right.
Absolutely, this is a great track for these cars. Like you say, it's a really difficult track to overtake still, but even though it's difficult to overtake, you have a lot of corners that you can overtake. This corner that we see here now, the old hairpin, that's not really one of the ones, but soon they will make a 90-degree right-hander. McLean's, it's one of the overtaking opportunities that you can force a move if you really want to, if you have a good run out of 4. Next corner, Coppers as well, it's a very good overtaking opportunity if someone has a bad run here. The S's, the chicane that we talked about earlier after that as well, is also one of the better overtaking opportunities. Basically every corner in this final part of the track build, it's just an overtaking opportunity if you have a good run and if the driver in front of you makes a mistake.
Ketchen has opened up another second on these guys. If Ketchen was short of fuel, we would have seen it by now. Unless he knows he's short of fuel and is racing as fast as he can, but I just don't think that's the case. Looking off the rear of Travis Schwenke, the veteran. Here comes Fittis. On Pajon, tighter than a new pair of shoes on a rainy day, looking for a way around as they work through the final hairpin.
And even though this is one of the best places to make that overtake stick, Fittis just cannot find the overdrive that he needs to get by Marcelo Payan. He's really, he needs a buddy almost, I would say, in this battle to really help him give a little bump draft, give a little bit of draft, maybe irritate Marcelo Payan or Travis Schwenke a bit to get by the battle. In the meantime, David Hampson behind him has won 2 tenths once again, getting closer and closer to Travis Schwenke, but with only 3 more laps to go, he needs a big mistake from the drivers in front to really make a move up the field.
We did our trip back marker shout out. That was the opportunity to show you all those drivers racing behind these guys. Really not a battle to be looked at back there. So we're going to keep our attention here on this battle for second as they continue to lose ground to Ketchen. You got to wonder. Fittis can't be happy where he is right now. It's not like a draft track where you can get 2 positions at once. For him really to get that second position, he's got to get around Pajan. And Jan will not let him have it.
Yeah, at this point of the race, you want to be in the position that Travis Schwenke is now. You want to lead this pack, make sure that you're in front of the rest and really can dictate the speed. Travis Schwenke making a little mistake there, yes. As you can see him immediately defending the inside. Marcelo on the outside doesn't make a move. Fittis tries to make it though. Very late, but he cannot make the move stick, cannot get more momentum around the outside and make it. A little opportunity there, Fittis saw, and he almost profited from it. Good racing.
That opportunity for Fittis came because of Schwenke's bad exit out of the S's. Pajan had nowhere to go, and Fittis thought he'd take an opportunity to make this pass. Boy, look how close they are now. Pajan only a car length back as they go into the first corner. The right-hander, that is Redgate. Look at the run from Pajan. The run also from Fittis. Nose to tail. Here comes Gene on the inside. Nope, he's blocked.
Oh, there was a hard block from the Italian. Through the old hairpin, then all the advantage that Payan and Fittis had was completely equalized. That overdrive he had is cancelled now. Going towards McLean's, he doesn't have the speed there to try put it side by side. He tries a different line though, get it a little bit sharper to maybe take some more momentum, but he doesn't get it stuck. He has to stay behind Payan for now. Another battle heating up is the podium battle in the amateur category. You can see here Jeroen Oersum is trying to fend off Jordi Fike, who had to make that double pit stop. But Jordi Fike is on a warpath now. Last time around almost 2 seconds quicker than Jeroen Oersum. The Dutch driver is really being put under pressure for a podium position.
Having a great run is Oersum. We can stay on this one a little while. They still race very close up front. All right, that is Peugeot who got in the tail of Swanky. Just a little bit of a brush.
Like Bob Ross would say, a little happy accident, because that gives Marcelo Payan P2 there. And Gene Fitters P3. Travis Swanky, the quickest driver probably all session long, is completely fallen down the order. Marcelo Payan doesn't have a buddy anymore. He doesn't have draft anymore of a driver in front of him that he can use to stay in front of Gene Fitters, who's been looking very, very feisty after his first pit stop.
And that could be good news for Fitters. And we're going to take a look at the replay of this one. As you can see, Peugeot, the Italian driver, just swipe across the back of Swanky. Well, we're going to look at it after the race. Okay. We're on the last lap right now. Kanchan out in front by 6.5 seconds. Continue to look on Peugeot. They continue to fight for second. Schwenke is out of it. Kanchan's got a long way to go. He's just working his way down into the S's right now. Now let's see if Fitters makes the dive here. He gets a pretty good run.
Not good enough though. He's a little bit too far to really profit and make a move here down the S's. He needs a good run. He has to be fearless. Don't be afraid for the slowdowns here. Just go through those bullets. He's not courageous enough to hit the second apex as good as the Italian does.
We can stay on this a little while longer as they go through the Milburn hairpin. No pass there. Now we go up to the leader who goes into the final hairpin. Goddard's, he comes around. No, he misses the apex horribly. Just kind of to scare us, taking a really late run. Let's give... No, he's faking us. Sonny Kanchan gets the win. Let's go back to second. Marcelo Peugeot. Go ahead.
No, Gene Fitters couldn't make a move stick. He tried a dummy in the last corner on Marcelo Payan, but the Italian saw it through. He defended, he blocked him there, and he got that position. Behind him, Travis Swanky has to settle for P4. David Hampson, P5. Enzo Canta is the driver that finishes P6 overall. And once again, it is Kip Stevens. We can go to him because that's another winner here in Donington. Kip Stevens once again is a winner, although he's driving very slowly. Is Kip Stevens out of fuel, Bill? It almost seems like he's out of fuel. And behind him, Derek Hampson is closing in. Derek Hampson is quite a bit quicker. Kip Stevens is rolling over the start-finish ever so slightly.
He's going to get there.
Yeah, Derek Holland is a little bit too far. He's driving over the start-finish line now. Derek Holland is a little bit too far. Kip Stevens, on fumes, wins in Donington in amateur category.
Jordy Fike is going to come home in 9th position. He was able to get around Jeroen Ursum. Rounding out the cars, finishing out their lead lap, Eric Coleman in 11th. Robert Olinga in 1 lap down. Triff Smith is going to get 12th, and then the last car on the lead lap will be Joe McDonald. Before we go to break, we're going to go to the replay and show you the pass that was made. This is Marcelo Peugeot and Travis Swanky. This is what got Peugeot into second and relegated Schwenke back into 4th. We've got it coming up right now. You can see Schwenke with that nice lead. Now here comes Peugeot with Fitters following. We're going to ride off the tail of Schwenke. Give a listen.
You can see Travis Swanky get a little tap there from Marcelo Payan. Now I have to wonder though, did Travis Swanky get a slowdown in the S's before? Because he cut the bullets quite hard. On the end he was hit, he was a lot slower than you might expect from the MX-5s in that corner. So it might be that he was just slowing down a little bit, trying to really hand in his time penalty. Because of that, Payan not expecting that, he got a little tap. This may be something that we can ask him if he comes in for an interview.
Well, let's stick with that story because it takes the pressure off of it. It takes the blame off of Peugeot. All right, the racing is over here at Donington, but our broadcast is far from done. We're going to step aside for a quick moment, but stay tuned because we're going to return for the Sim Sports News wrap-up, where we'll run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. No clicking. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel and the Sim Sports News Wrap-Up. Sim Sports News is one of the first dedicated sim racing news websites that covers all broadcasted series on iRacing. Ran by Jacob Tufts and Gianni Quintilier, the Sim Sports News race team competes on many official racing series as well as the one you just watched. For more information, go to simsportsnews.com. All right, let's go ahead and run down your finishing order. It was Asbury Motorsports driver Sonny Canchin picking up his 5th win of the season, really putting himself in a good position to pick up his 4th MWT championship. Boy, he'll be tough to beat come the season finale next week. Marcelo Perjan, his teammate, comes home in 2nd. Gene Fittis gets the final podium spot ahead of Travis Swenke. David Hampson watched the whole thing for most of the races. He rounds out your top 5. Enzo Canta in 6th. And I think I'll stop with Canta and leave all these amateur drivers to my partner here, Johan Vanderbilt. Johan?
Sounds good, because the winner in the amateur category today was once again Kip Stevens. Derek Holland came close because Kip Stevens ran out of fuel on the last lap but had to settle for P2 in the end. Jody Fike got a podium position 2 laps before the end by passing Jeroen Oersum for P9 overall and a podium position in the amateur category. Jeroen Oersum completing the top 10 just in front of Erik Koeman. Trip Smits comes home in P12 in front of Joe McDonald, the last driver on the lead lap. Robert Wieninga was involved in a big power-up in lap 1. Finished the race, however, 1 lap down in P14 overall. And then the only retiree of today, our leader, our pole sitter, Peter van Gol. He was the retiree after making 2 pit stops and is classified in P15.
And again, I got to compliment the cut line on the points, as you have pros in the top 6, and all the drivers after that are amateurs. We're going to have an opportunity to talk to the last of the pro drivers, and that is Enzo Canta, who came home in 6th. Enzo, you're by yourself for most of the race.
Hi guys, yes, I'm the last of the pro drivers. The real thing is I'm still learning how to drive this car at the limit and with the cooked tires after a few laps, many laps. So I did a decent qualifying, but an awful start. So I lost soon a position with Jen Fides, who passed me outside in T1, but I was not worried because I could stay in the draft. The problem is that I took a slow down in the first chicane because I was too near Gene, and his car covered my view, and I couldn't look well at where I was putting my tires, so I took a slow down, and my race was finished there. I'm satisfied, but because I'm learning, I'm not so slow. I can learn race after race, and finally I found my pace, and I was not so slow compared to the fastest guys. So except for Sonny, obviously. So I think in the future I have the chance to get some good positions and results here.
We've seen you race on several different series here on GSRC. What is your favorite car? What car do you think you're the best at?
My favorite car is my car, and it is a S2000. Right? It is not on iRacing, but after that, obviously I really like the Skip Barber because it is my favorite car. After that, the Lotus 79, the Lotus 49, and this one, the MX-5.
So all open wheel. This is one that you're learning here with one of the few cars you raced with fenders on it.
Yeah, open wheel, but because you have a more clear view, no? You have not
right.
the chassis. You have only the tires, and yeah, I feel like claustrophobic in a covered tires car, but yeah, I really like this car, and for me it's a very much fun to drive with these drivers as Marcelo, Gene, Sonny, and all the others.
Well, maybe we can put the good word in with iRacing and get the S2000 Honda brought in as a car to race here. Huh?
Yeah, every time. Yeah, you know, is an important car for the history of the Honda and for the history of the.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think in the future it will be here. But for some, yeah, in the way to drive it is a little bit like the Skip and a little bit like the Mazda. So it's between them. So I can I learned to drive better my S2000 driving the Skip. So I think relay racing helped me in also in the real life.
Got it. Well, congratulations on the 6th place finish here today. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See ya.
All right, that's going to do it here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Let's thank everybody at the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to Heusinkveld. You know, it was thought that affordable simulation software and hardware was of limited value for race teams and drivers, but Heusinkveld's solution brings professional simulation within the budgetary reach of anyone without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services such as advanced vehicle simulation, software, and hardware. They're able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including full-fledged cockpit environment with realism that is unparalleled. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being used by professional teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, Formula 2, and Formula 1. Now these products are available to any team or driver looking for an edge in racing. Be a better race car driver and get in touch today at heusinkveld.com. We'd also like to thank SimSport News for their help in sponsoring this wrap-up show. Thanks to the company's equipment and software you see on the screen right now, we use on the broadcast. The original music that lets your ears alert your eyes you're watching a GSRC Productions comes courtesy of Eric Echolm and June Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them. The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns for the double-distance, double-point season finale next week, December 15th from Phillip Island. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screen now are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it all at GlobalSimRacingChannel.com or check us out on social media, Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by hitting the big red button on our YouTube page. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Johan, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.